Okay, so we have to unpack this right from the start because I honestly love this title.
It's great, isn't it?
It's so specific, kind of strange, and it sounds a little bit like the punchline to a joke you just missed.
Right.
We are talking about an album called A Doughnut in Both Hands.
And it absolutely paints a picture. You can just see it, right? Someone just double fisting
Yeah.
pastries. It kind of disarms you. It makes you think you're in for something, I don't know, light. Maybe a
Uh-huh.
bit of a comedy album.
Exactly, but here's where it gets really interesting. You look at that title, you smile, and then you press play.
And what you get is, well,
It's not a comedy routine. It's one of the most intense, boundary-pushing, and frankly, shocking works of vocal art ever recorded.
hmm.
We are diving into the world of the British vocalist Phil Minton.
And vocalist is absolutely the key word there, not just singer.
Right.
Minton is a legend in the world of free improvisation. And this album, A Doughnut in Both Hands, is his first solo record. Yeah. It was originally released back in 1981 on Rift Records. Then it got reissued later by Eminem in 1998 with some extra tracks.
Okay.
But the core of it, the stuff that really changed the landscape, that was recorded between about 1975 and 1982.
And just to set the stage for you listening right now, when we say solo record, we mean solo.
Oh, yeah.
There is no piano, no drums, no bass line to, keep your foot tapping. There are no overdubs.
Nothing.
It is just Phil Minton, a microphone in a room.
That's it. And I think the mission of this deep dive is to really understand what happens when a human being decides to stop using their voice to just sing songs
In a traditional sense.
in the traditional sense and starts using it as a total instrument of sound.
It's such a bold move. I mean, most of us, if we stood in front of a microphone with no music, we'd probably just feel awkward.
Completely.
But Minton, he fills that space. So you should probably prepare yourself. This isn't a deep dive into smooth jazz or pop vocals.
No.
We are entering the world of sound singing.
Sound singing is a great term for it. And we should probably explain what that actually sounds like, because if you've never heard Phil Minton, your brain might scramble a bit trying to categorize it.
Oh, absolutely. I was reading a review by Glenn Estorita, and he tries to list what you hear on this album. And the list is just wild.
What did he say?
He mentions traces of operatic librettos, which sounds classy, but then immediately follows it with yodeling, garbled speech, screeching, and folksy humor.
It's that collision, right? The collision of high art and this really guttural noise that makes it so fascinating.
Yes.
You have the operatic control. The technique is undeniably there, but he's applying it to sounds that we usually filter out of music.
Richard Cochran, he put it really well, too. He said, Minton's techniques are too many and various to categorize.
I can believe that.
He talks about exotic overtone singing, which is that thing where you can sing two notes at once, basically.
Right, the throat singing.
But then Minton just switches to childish or animalistic noises.
And that animalistic description comes up a lot. It touches on something primal. It's not polished in the sense of being pretty, but it is incredibly disciplined.
There's this great story about the musician David Moss. He's an experimental musician himself, So you'd think he'd be used to weird stuff. But he talked about hearing a donut in both hands for the first time. He said, "This guy can do things I've just barely been scratching at." He called it shocking. In fact, his exact words were, "almost too shocking."
Wow, too shocking.
That's telling.
It suggests Minton went past the edge of what even other avant-garde musicians thought was possible at the time.
Right.
He wasn't just improvising melodies. He was documenting, as you said, anything and everything that could be produced by the human voice.
I love that phrase. Anything and everything. It implies that a cough, a wheeze, a scream, a gag is just as valid musically as a perfect C sharp.
Precisely. And that brings us back to the terminology. You mentioned sound singing earlier.
Yeah.
That term is often attributed to Paul Dutton via the critic Francois Couture. And it distinguishes this from just free singing.
How so?
Sound singing implies that the material isn't notes and scales. The material is the sound wave itself, the texture of it.
So he's sculpting with noise.
Yes. He's treating the larynx, the throat, the mouth, not as a vehicle for lyrics, but as a synthesizer made of flesh.
Which sounds incredibly cool, but also maybe a little bit terrifying.
It can be.
And this leads us to what I think is the biggest tension in this album.
The disconnect.
The disconnect between what Phil Minton is doing and what we, the listeners, are hearing. Because when I read about how people react to this album, fun isn't the first word that comes up.
No, not at all. If you look at a review from Robert Spencer, he says some of the album is wrenching to hear.
Wrenching.
He describes it as sounding like a man in pain.
A man in pain. That is such a heavy description. And the Penguin Guide to Jazz, which is like the Bible for this stuff, they talk about tracks overflowing with pain and pride, anger and redemption. These are hugely emotional words.
They are, but we are hardwired as humans to interpret certain vocal sounds as distress signals.
That's true.
If you hear a scream or a choke or a guttural groan, your amygdala just lights up. You think, danger, suffering, emotion.
But here is where it gets really interesting. Minton doesn't agree with that interpretation, does he?
No, he doesn't. And this is the paradox.
Right.
When Minton was asked about the emotional content of his music,
Yeah.
specifically about all this pain and anger people hear, he pushed back. He said, I just got to listen to them in an abstract way.
So he's disassociating.
Explicitly, he said, I have to disassociate myself from any of the emotional associations.
Wow.
He views it as just sound and music. So while the listener is sitting there thinking, oh my God, this man is bearing his tortured soul,
Minton is standing there thinking, I wonder what happens if I tighten my throat muscles by 10% and push air through my nasal cavity.
Exactly. It's wild. It's almost like a magic trick. He's generating intense emotion in the room, but he's doing it through cold, hard mechanics.
It really raises a fascinating question about empathy in art, you know?
It does. Are we just projecting that pain onto him? He's providing the canvas, the sound, and we are painting it with our own fears and experiences of what those sounds mean.
It's like looking at an abstract painting and seeing a sad face, when the painter just wanted to use the color blue.
Exactly. But with the voice, it's so much more personal because we all have one. We know what it feels like to make a sound of pain, so we assume he must be feeling it too.
Let's get into the actual tracks, because the structure of this album is really interesting. It's not like there are 3-minute pop songs here.
No, not at all.
Some of these things are just tiny fragments.
Right. Take Cenotaph and Wreath. These are under a minute long.
45 seconds and 48 seconds, respectively. Tiny.
And yet, the Penguin Guide to Jazz singles them out. They say these tiny tracks are overflowing with pain and pride.
It shows how much information Minton can pack into just a few seconds. He doesn't need a long buildup.
He can drop you right into the intensity immediately.
And then you have tracks that people apparently can't get enough of. The Penguin Guide mentions notes on avarice and blasphemy.
Right.
They say these tracks demand frequent recourse to the repeat button.
Which is high praise for avant-garde vocal improvisation.
Yeah.
Usually you listen once and say, okay, I get it. That was intense.
Yeah, I've had my fill.
But to want to repeat it, that suggests there's a musical logic there that pulls you in. It's not just noise, it's composition.
And we have to talk about the humor again, because despite the whole man in pain vibe, Minton is funny.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, there is a track literally called Too Many Donuts Make You Ill.
It's a good piece of advice, generally speaking.
It is, but it also serves a purpose on the album, right? It has to.
It does. It breaks the tension. Minton uses that folksy humor as part of the palette. If it were just 40 minutes of screaming, you'd be exhausted. But by throwing in these absurd titles and moments of what sound like childish noises,
Hochring called them.
he keeps you off balance. You never know if you're supposed to laugh or cry.
And then there's the Woodsong series. On the track list, we see Woodsong 1 through Woodsong 5.
This is where the live aspect of the album really shines. Remember, these tracks were recorded at different times and places.
Oh, right. Some in London, some in Bracknell.
One in Brest-sur-Groms in France.
Yeah.
The liner notes mention it specifically.
Yeah.
Like tracks 8 through 16 were recorded in Bracknell on August 15th, 1975.
Right.
So when you hear the Woodsong series, you're hearing a thematic exploration that spans his performances. It shows that he's not just making random noises every night.
He's working on ideas.
He's revisiting ideas, refining them, looking at them from different angles. It's a very deliberate practice.
I want to circle back to the title of the album, A Doughnut in Both Hands, because it turns out this isn't just a one-off joke. This doughnut concept, it became a whole saga.
It did. It's a decades-long narrative arc, entirely told through album titles about pastries.
Okay, walk us through the timeline here.
So we start with A Doughnut in Both Hands in 1981. That's the introduction.
Right.
Then you fast forward to 1998, and he releases A Doughnut in One Hand.
He lost one.
He's losing his grip on the donuts. Then 10 years later, in 2008, we get No Donuts in Hand.
Oh, no. A tragedy in 3 parts.
And finally, in 2015, we get A Doughnut's End.
That is incredible commitment to a bit.
It is funny, but Chris Tonelli, who is a vocalist and a writer who studied Minton, points out that the importance of this series cannot be overstated.
Really? Why is the Doughnut saga so important?
Tonelli argues that these records challenge entrenched notions of what vocal sounds are ugly and what are beautiful.
Ah.
By using these silly, almost throwaway titles, Minton is juxtaposing the absurdity of the title with the profound, often difficult nature of the sound.
He's challenging the pervasive order of the valuable and valueless?
Exactly that. We tend to think beautiful singing equals valuable. Ugly noise equals valueless.
Sure.
Minton says, here's a noise that sounds like a dying animal, and I'm going to call it a donut in both hands.
Yeah.
He is messing with your categories of value.
He's demanding you take the ugly sound seriously, but he's also refusing to take himself too seriously.
That's a delicate balance. It stops the art from becoming pretentious.
It's like he's saying, yes, this is high art, but also donuts.
Right, and it keeps the work grounded. It reminds us that these sounds, the burps, the squeaks, the groans, are part of everyday life. They are human sounds. We make them when we eat, when we sleep, when we get sick. Minton is just elevating them to the stage.
So when we look at the legacy of this album, it came out in '81. It's been over 40 years. Why does it still matter?
I think it matters because we are still kind of catching up to it. Robert Spencer wrote that Minton was exploring territory that will be further explored by others, and he was so right.
You can hear it today.
You hear echoes of Minton in all kinds of experimental music, metal, sound design today.
It's the permission it gives, isn't it?
Yes. It gives permission to the vocalist to stop being just a melodic delivery system for lyrics. It says the voice is an instrument with infinite texture. Francois Couture noted that this album was one of the most influential contributions to free singing. It opened the door.
And it's fascinating that despite being shocking or jarring, reviewers keep coming back to how musical it is. Richard Cochran said all are very musical.
That's the key takeaway for me. It's not chaos. It's a different kind of order. Minton has total control over these sounds. He isn't just screaming, he's composing with screams.
So if you are listening to this and you're thinking, okay, I want to try this, what is the mindset you need to go in with?
You need to let go of the expectation of a song.
Don't wait for the chorus.
Don't wait for the chorus. Don't look for the melody. Just listen to the texture. Listen to the physical capability of the human body.
Treat it like a nature documentary. But the nature is the inside of a guy's throat.
That is a very visceral way to put it, but yeah.
Pretty much. So, to sum this all up, A Doughnut in Both Hands is a document of a man pushing the human voice to its absolute limit. It moves from funny to frightening, sometimes in the span of 45 seconds.
And it challenges us to rethink what we consider music and what we consider noise.
And it leaves us with this really strange, lingering thought. We talked about how Minton disassociates from the emotion.
Yeah.
He's just making sounds. But the listeners, the critics, the fans, they hear heartbreak, anger, and redemption.
It's a powerful disconnect.
So here's the question I want to leave you with today. If the singer doesn't feel the emotion, but you feel it intensely in your gut, where does that emotion actually live? Is it in the throat of the singer, or is it entirely created in the ear of the listener?
That is the mystery of sound.
Thanks for diving deep with us. Go grab a donut, put on some headphones, and prepare to be shocked. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.